Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Fintech Fridays. I am jacked and excited to have a longtime friend and the president and CEO of Edu Marketing, Ginger Bell, join us today. Hello, Ginger.
Hey, Brian. I'm excited to be here too. We get
This
to
is like,
geek out and talk.
yeah, this is long overdue, long overdue. Uh, so I've been following you forever. We've known each other a long time. I think both of our past lives, we had our paths cross a few times.
Yep.
But I've been, as you know, I've been talking a lot about the importance of financial education and lenders and loan officers specifically leaning in with financial education and more specifically leveraging social channels as a way to get the message out. And this is in your sweet spot. This is kind of what you live every day. And I thought it'd be great just to have a conversation on kind of what you're seeing around this space. And for what I really would hope is that for somebody watching today who's been thinking about, getting started with social and video and education, I'd love them to be able to leave here today with maybe a couple tips and actionable items, and hopefully they call you and get help from you. But let's let's maybe start by just giving us a little bit of your background and talk about how edu marketing came about and then what you all do there.
Yeah. So thanks for having me on. As you said, I'm Ginger Bell. I'm the CEO and founder of Edu Marketing. I have been in the mortgage and real estate industry. Sue Woodard and I always say we stop at 20 years. It's like, 20 years. That's
Yeah,
about
me
it.
too.
And before I got into the mortgage industry, I was a corporate trainer with Dale Carnegie Training. So training and education has always been a part of who I am. It's really my DNA. And have always developed, I honestly have written and conducted training on every mortgage regulation that's out there, probably every single loan program that's out there, FHA, 203K, VA, everything. And that's how I got into the industry. I had a friend who, needed some training and proficiencies created for his business. And I got in. It's like, man, you guys really have a lot of stuff to teach on. So ended up staying. It's been a wonderful journey. And how I came along the Edu Marketing, I was speaking at a conference in Vegas for a client of mine who had me come in to talk about, I don't know, I think it was maybe TRID at the time or something. And it's a longtime client. I helped them develop all their training, their learning management system, their marketing. And so I was talking during the session and I said, really what we do, it's edu marketing. He goes, Ginger, that's it. That's what you do. It's edu marketing. That's what you need to change your business to. And so it took me a couple of years, honestly, to get the site and then started developing. And my clients, Brian, have always been, large organizations. RHMI is a regular client of mine. I do a lot of their one-off webinars, First American Title, Fidelity National Title, and I'm a content developer.
Yeah.
And so during COVID, Arch had me do a lot of webinars on how to do video, and from that, I had a lot of people reaching out to me saying, "Hey, can you help us? You've been talking about doing video. How do I do it? How do I do it on social media?" And so I kind of got tired of having those conversations and I said, okay, let's just do a coaching call. So I did the first coaching call and I taught from A to Z is what you need to do. And at the end of it, it's like, yeah, we can't do that. We don't have time to do that. We don't know how to do that. And it's like, okay, you have the experience. And that's the thing. So if you're listening to this podcast, if you're watching this video, I want you to know you have so much knowledge. You have so much experience that needs to be shared. So you owe it to really the next generation and every current homeowner, potential homeowner to share that. I always say, every time I sign my books, I always write in my books, always pass on what you have learned. And I really think that is something that we in this industry need to be better at doing. And so video is a great way to do that. And so, at the end of this coaching program I did, everyone said, yeah, we just can't, we can record the video, but we can't edit it and produce it. And so that's how one of the services we offer is video production. And so we do scripts because And again, this is one of those things. It's like,
Mm.
you know what to say. Like if you're listening to this and I called you on the phone and said, "Hey, I'm interested in getting a mortgage and I don't have 20% down," you would immediately say, "Hey, not a problem. You know, there's some DAP programs available. If you have some local ones, if you have some national ones, there's FHA. If you're a veteran, I mean, you would immediately go into
Right.
sharing." But for some reason, when the record button gets hit, it's like, I don't know what to say. And so, I think, I mean, if you're listening to this, no, you have the education, you have the knowledge. And so it doesn't have to be perfect.
Right.
What you say doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, it's better if it isn't perfect because people see you as a person. And some of the best videos out there are not the best quality videos. They're not overproduced videos. It is just you having a conversation and sharing information. And so that's how I got it into doing the video production, is just because nobody was really doing it and people wanted guidance in it. And I did it anyway for my clients in creating learning
Yeah.
management systems and courses. And then we got into doing podcasts for the same reason. I had someone I knew in the industry who said, "Hey, somebody told me I need to do a podcast." And I recorded 2 podcasts. And then they brought it to me, it's like, "Now what do I do?" It's like,
Yeah.
okay. We produced some podcasts. So it's like, let's put it together. So I think the main thing is, if you don't know how to do all the pieces, that's okay.
Yep.
There are, services out there. There's people out there who can help you with it. We started the Mortgage Influencer Facebook group, and I started that group 4 years ago. It used to be called Mortgage Video Mastermind. Carl White was on it with me. Frank's been on it with me. I have a lot of different people that have hosted with me. And it was just to have conversation. It's like, here's what you need to do. Here's what
Right.
you need to know about. You do your podcast and record it, and then you're ahead of time. I wanted to hold myself accountable. So my podcast, we stream ours live every
I
week.
know.
And
I
I
had the
did that
honor
for
of
the
being on it.
accountability standpoint. Yes, we loved having you on. And so, whatever works for you. I think that's a lot of it, is whatever works for you.
I think that's probably you hit on a couple things that I think people need to hear and take to heart, and I'll work backwards. Whatever works for you is where you start.
Mm-hmm.
Don't, people that try to be portrayed as somebody they're not, it comes across as fake,
Right.
and you're not going to get the reach or engagement in that instance. And so your earlier point, if we go back a little bit, you talked about scripting versus just talk about what you
Mm-hmm.
know. And every day, I mean, I think of the life of a loan officer. If every single day they put a calendar event at 6 p.m. for 30 minutes, and the event said, talk about the toughest conversations or deals you had today, or talk about 3 problems that you helped somebody overcome, and then it's simple: hit record and just
Mm-hmm.
talk about it.
Yeah.
And if you've helped one person with a very unique problem, there's probably hundreds, maybe thousands that are out there that have a very similar problem. And I think what I love about what you're doing today is you were a content creator before there was channels where the content was being distributed like it is today on social, right?
Right.
The things you've been doing in our industry, creating training videos and compliance related regulatory videos, that's all content creation. And this stuff's been going on for a long time. I think we all get in our own heads too often. And so I
Mm-hmm.
like to just I mean, I was that way when I first started this podcast. I got like not just butterflies, but I had like anxiety about, oh my God, I'm going to be a flop. This is going to be terrible. I don't even know what questions to ask. And I think we've done 100 of these, and
I know. I'm
I
so
don't even
excited
prepare.
for you.
I never prepare. I'm like,
Yep.
I'm just going to have a conversation and hit record, and whatever happens, happens. It's, and they, most of the time they're fun conversations, but there's like some good stuff that comes out of it. But,
Yeah.
um,
Podcasts are so great. So the first thing, if you're thinking about doing a podcast, just do it.
yeah,
And the second thing, I always get this question, it's like, are there too many? And it's like, do you, how many people do you know that are doing a podcast? They're like, no one. It's like, then I guess
Yeah,
there's not too
there you go.
many. So, and the thing I love about podcasts is it is that conversation. It's not, you don't have to have a slide deck. You don't have to prepare for it. And, that's the thing I used to do. We used to put together panels at a lot of the, live events, MBA,
Yeah.
NAM, things like that. And I learned quickly. In fact, when Brian Webster was with the CFPB, and I know you know Brian, I was able to get him to be on panels because he didn't have to get a slide deck through approval on the CFPB. So I'd like,
Right.
okay, Brian, I'm just going to have a panel. We're not going to have a slide deck. And here's, the topics. He goes, okay. He didn't have to worry about questions. He didn't have to prepare anything. And that's the same thing as far as doing podcasts.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a slide deck. You don't have to have a script. Have some questions,
Yeah.
have an idea, do a little bit of background, have, an idea. But you can do a podcast and invite your real estate agents on. You can invite your financial planners on. We have a podcast that we actually do for a real estate agent that's in California, and it's all local. And so she has local businesses on. She has, stagers on. It's like all
Yeah.
of those things, those give you an opportunity. The other thing, and if you're thinking about starting a podcast and people always think, well, who's my audience? Decide who your audience is. And a great audience right now is anyone who is possibly relocating. So, for example, I just did a call this morning. They live in the DC area and they're doing great on social media. Theoni just had a video that went viral on TikTok, which means over 1 million views.
Yeah.
And she got, I think, 460 applications out of it. Leads. And so for her and her podcast, I said, think about the DC area. People are moving there. And now that companies are starting to require people to come back to the workforce, we're going to see a lot more people having to move. And those are, situational moves, which is important to put yourself in the middle of. So why not talk about relocating to the area you're in and do a podcast? Invite business owners of your local area, invite restaurants, go and, do reviews. I mean, all those kind of things. There's so many things you can do, podcasts, videos, anything about. So it doesn't always have to be about mortgages. And that's the thing. Yes, I have written, when I was writing compliance training, it's like, nails on a chalkboard. It's like, how boring can it be? And so I was always trying to find ways to make it to where it was at least somewhat interesting.
Right.
And it's the same with mortgages. No, what we do is it's not sexy. People don't wake up in the morning and goes, gosh, I really want a mortgage today. It's like, no, but they want the education. And we've seen that. Kyle Seagraves, who is probably one of the top educators on YouTube in our industry, and his videos are honestly like 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
And he truly educates. He truly, truly educates. People are looking for that information. You can mix in other things as well. We have a client, Devin, who does a podcast, but he also mixes in a lot of videos. And he does better if he has a discipline of what to focus on. So his is, he does his Monday Morning Minute. And so it's an update on what's happening as far as rates, the industry, things like that. And then he does, once a week, he does a motivational clip. And then he has pro tips. So he does his agent pro tips. And it's just little things. So mix it up. You don't always have to have it the same. It keeps it interesting for you, and it kind of gives you something to lean into as far as, okay, I need to do 3 videos this week. I'm going to do one that's going to be my, mortgage minute update, one that's going to be a pro tip for real estate agents, and one that's going to be, consumer focused. And if you do that, and they don't have to be long, they can be 1-minute clips. You can do one long one. We like to do one long, 2 short is kind of like what we like to do. And so just work around that. But the main thing, and I love you, put it in there, maybe not 6 o'clock, maybe do it first thing in the morning before you get started so you're
Yeah.
fresh. Us ladies, we got to put our, faces on and all that kind of stuff. 6 o'clock, it's like, I don't know, the rose may not be blooming so well, but but in whatever works for you, or do it, we batch. A lot of times I batch mine
Me too.
where, I'll have my planning and do it. And then I know this is my filming day. Whatever works for you. The main thing is don't let yourself off the hook.
Yeah.
Put it on the list because over time, it does end up to where you start getting to where you have 100 episodes and you see that.
So I'll tell a story, and it's timely. So I've been hyper focused on building, being more active on LinkedIn, getting on 10 months now. And it's like it's part of my job. I schedule and I post, and about 45 days ago I added another daily calendar item and just called it engage. And so for 30 minutes I've got my goals that, I actually have a file, an Excel file with people, my priority engagements, people I want to engage with, that maybe they're prospects, business partners, whatever. The cutting to the chase, this morning I was on somebody's post and made a comment, engaged, and this is somebody that has been a long time prospect. And now, was it coincidence? Was it going to happen anyway? An hour after I made a comment on their post, I got an email saying, we're ready to move forward. Let's meet tomorrow to go through contract. I'm like, so again, is it coincidence? Was it going to happen anyway? I happen to believe it's all part of
It is.
the nurture process.
Yep.
But people that say social doesn't work, I would tell you that social is today. It is part of the fabric of personal branding and marketing. And if you're in the loan origination business, where you're a loan officer, a mortgage advisor, you have a personal brand that you need to put out there. People aren't doing business with the company; they're doing business with the person. And you're the person, and you're the only one that can control your personal brand.
Yeah, and that brand is so important. I mean, everyone needs to have their own personal brand, and it's you, your name, whatever you want to call yourself. I mean, whatever that is, you need to be out there. And to the point of having that interaction with social media, if you're going to any conference, whether it's the MBA or NAM or a local conference, you wouldn't pay to go, right? And then stand in the corner and not talk to anyone.
Yeah, stay in your hotel room.
Right? Now, I have talked to people that have done that. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
What are you doing? But the point is, social media is your opportunity to be in that exhibit hall, to where you are having that conversation. I mean, you and I, whenever we're at a conference, it's always like we get to see each other, we get to hang out. You've got your other people. It's like when COVID, was going on and we weren't seeing, it's like we were all like, it's like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen anybody for so long. But social was where it was at.
That's right.
And so, but social is always there. And I love the fact that you have, and a lot of people don't use this strategy. You're so brilliant in doing it. It's like those conversations, you don't have to bug people all the time by email. You don't have to call people all the time. In fact, we have clients that they recruit a lot of LOs through social. They find who they want to recruit through social. And then they surround them and they have that interaction. They begin that conversation and they do all those things. And so when you reverse engineer it like that, to where you're using it as an opportunity to make those relationships, just like you're going to a trade show or to an event and you say, oh my gosh, and you probably do this too. It's like you look at when you get the registration, if you're lucky enough to get the registration list of who's going, you go through, it's like, okay, who do I want to meet with? Who do I want to make sure that I, meet with? And sometimes you may call someone, like I may call you and say, hey, Brian, I've been talking to so-and-so a little bit. I know you know him really well. Do you mind if, we sit down and have a cup of coffee together? And so those are the kind of things that you do. And it's the same thing in social media.
Yeah.
Just
It's
like
just,
your podcast, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's like it's an opportunity for you. It's like to have those conversations.
going back to why podcasting makes sense. Once you get a rhythm going, so I've got enough episodes that have been out there. You're in the same spot where you and I have people kind of reaching out to us and saying, "Hey,
Hmm.
I'd love to share my story on your podcast." Whereas when I first started, it was like, I was begging and pleading to get, my great aunt to come on and record with me.
I
Um,
doubt
and so
that.
you kind of flip it a little bit where people are
Yeah.
coming to you. And that's pretty powerful in no matter what you're doing, you're building, you're widening your sphere of influence. And, I think the, the guest, the guest side of things, there's this reciprocal feeling that people have. If you've hosted me on your show, then I want to make sure I do something for you and your business and vice versa. And so it's a cool way to kind of have conversations that you're already having and share those with others. But there's also, it to me, it also builds another layer of the relationship, and not just with the guest, but then with the audience who's engaging and learning right alongside.
Well, and you talk about that reaching out. And I was really excited because when the first time I ever had somebody outside of our industry reach out and say, "Hey, I have so and so that we've been watching a podcast, and can they be a guest?" It's like, "Hey, that's pretty cool." But you have the same thing. I mean, you're streaming now on in Canada, right?
I'm
You're
international,
international.
baby. Yeah.
Like, woohoo! So I mean, and that's the thing that's so amazing, Brian, and people don't realize. And you get this, it's like, well, I don't have so many likes and I don't have so many followers and I want to get
Doesn't
to
matter.
this. It's like, it doesn't matter because people are watching you and you don't know that they're watching you.
Yeah.
So you can't pay attention to the followers. You can't pay attention to the likes. You just have to know, you just keep doing it.
Yep. That's
And
it.
that's it. It's like
How?
pedaling a bike. If you're pedaling a bike, you're not going to, stop halfway up the hill. And it's like, well, I don't know. Am I going to make it? It's like, well, if you stop, I can guarantee you're going to be walking the rest
That's
of the
right.
way.
You will not make it if you stop
You will
pedaling.
not make it. So keep pedaling.
When you're coaching your clients on these topics, like, I know the answer to this, but I think it's just good to share it. How do you, like, what do you talk about as it relates to scheduling and consistency? I mean, I don't think this is a thing that you can post on a Monday and then 4 weeks later come in on a Wednesday and then 8 weeks later come back and think you're going to get anything meaningful out of that. So how do you kind of coach up that aspect of things?
So, I mean, there's coaching and then there's nagging and then there's finding and
Right.
um, we recommend 3 videos a week,
Hmm.
one long form, so one over a minute, because you need to provide something that gives a little more education than just the teasers. There's
Yeah.
only so much you can get in a minute video. And so we like to do one long format over a minute, 2 short forms under a minute, and then we'll, build around those. That's the really the minimum. And
Yeah.
I mean, trust me, there's science to the algorithms and all that other kind of stuff. And it's like, I mean, you can get into it. You
Yeah.
can just do it. I mean, honestly, and it'll change. I mean, you get started on one today, and guess what? They'll change everything up.
Yeah.
So, it's like TikTok when they first started out, it's like you couldn't do anything that was over a minute. Then they moved to 3 minutes. Now I think they're over, I think they're 9 to 10 minutes. I can't remember. And they're always chasing after each other. It's like YouTube when they added their podcasting. It's like, oh, maybe we need to do podcasting.
Yep.
Now they're pushing podcasting. YouTube Shorts, and I can tell you what, if you are not putting your videos onto YouTube, you are doing yourself a huge disservice. 2 reasons. First of all, they're really pushing shorts and really encouraging to the point they're giving money away.
Yeah.
The other reason why is because thanks to our friends at ChatGPT and AI and everything that's happening now, you have to get outside of the social media. And you have to think social media is a closed capture. But LinkedIn will show up in some of your, searches and things like that. But for the most part, let's say a real estate agent refers you to their client, that client's going to go and the first thing they're going to do is they're going to search you.
Yeah.
And if nothing comes up, you get nothing.
Right.
And so, it's one of those things as we see more with AI and Google Bard, they just had a big update. We're seeing a lot more content coming out of them. They're going to start looking for more of this content and videos, and it's going to continue to change. So you should have your videos on YouTube. You should have your videos on your website, on your Google page.
Right.
Those are the kind of things that you need to think about. It's not just social media. It is, honestly, I think everything outside of social media. I think everyone should have a spot on their website. I love that you put your podcast on your website because that increases your SEO.
Yeah.
You can take your videos and you can run it through Descript, which is a great little AI tool. It'll pull everything out of there and give you the entire transcript for your videos. You should be putting your videos onto your website with the transcript underneath, because then you're going to hit 2 SEO points. You're going to hit the video SEO as well as just the text SEO. And it's going to be native to you. So it's going to be your voice, your language, which again is important for AI, because the more that AI comes about, you want your AI to learn to talk in your voice,
Right.
in your narrative. And so the more you have out there and the more that's searchable, then the more that becomes to the top and more people see you. I mean, it's just all of those things. I mean, honestly, it's not a matter of if you're going to do it. It's like, I'm okay. It's like, no,
Yeah.
if you're not doing it, you may not be around, over the next 5 years.
Yeah. I just had a exchange with somebody on LinkedIn, and they were kind of talking about things that the top loan officers are doing right now, and basically the punchline was, if you're not doing those 5 things, the business has already passed you by.
Yeah.
And I think I commented that it's amazing how many zombies I'm seeing, Walking Dead originators out there that just, I don't know if they just can't get out of their own head, but they're done. It's over for them. And it's sad because these are some of the most experienced, knowledgeable, technically proficient originators that have so much knowledge and experience. And if they just got comfortable with sharing it, they'd be among the top content creators. No question about it.
Well, and the other thing too, Brian, is leverage your tools. So many tools. I mean, what you have with all the tools that you have for financial education, for financial management, through everything, through FinLocker, do education around that.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, you could do, and you can pull up, there's, tools you can use, whether you're using something like a StreamYard or you're using Riverside. You can use an OBS. You can even just do a screen share on Zoom if you can't even get beyond that. And pull up those tools and just show people, here's something to think about.
Yeah.
Here's what you can use. Barry's are the tools that he has for his rate alerts, mortgage coach, things the tools that you're using in your business. HomeBot is another great, thing that is a fantastic tool. Share those tools and do a video about those.
Right.
If you don't, if it's like, I don't know what to talk about.
I love
there's
that.
so many different things you can talk about. And then think about, who do you like? Who do you serve? Like attracts like. So if you want to attract a certain type of customer, then you need to put yourself out there and you need to share that information. If you like working with veterans, then you need to be doing videos talking about veterans. If you like working with helping, individuals who are, aging in place, that's a huge topic right now. That's a huge problem right now. And so, it's an opportunity to be able to have those discussions. We're seeing changes where we're having multi-generational households again. So have a conversation about that. I have a client who is Spanish speaking. We record his videos in Spanish. And I honestly record them with him every month, and then we translate them and transcribe them for him. But his father just passed away. And so he did a video yesterday when we were recording that was talking about, hey, what happens to the house when your spouse dies?
Right.
I mean, these are things that conversations we take for granted that honestly can keep people up at night.
Yeah.
And that's when you can get in there. The other thing, and this is one of those things, as you're doing videos, and I see this all the time on social medias, make sure your social media profile has it easy for people to be able to get in touch with you.
Yeah.
And it's not your application.
You mean apply now?
Yeah.
Don't put the
And
apply now
that's what
button there?
so many times I talk to people, it's like, do you have a website? Yeah, it's the apply now. It's like, that's not your website.
No.
That's people don't start there.
No.
It's like, I don't call my doctor and know that I'm going to, go in for, open heart surgery. It's like, takes a little bit of process to get there. So, take a look. Honestly, everyone needs to look at your social media profiles, and now's a good time to do that. What does it look like on LinkedIn? I just honestly just updated my LinkedIn profile this weekend. Hadn't updated it for a while, and just wanted to, get some new stuff out there, some new articles, clean up my bio, just little things.
Yeah.
You should be doing that at least once a year
At least.
where you're going through there. And then, Linktree is a great free resource that you honestly can put every single one of your links in there. You can put a link in there to all of your social profiles, to your YouTube channel, to your Apply Now.
Yeah.
What we've had the best success with is on the Linktrees, if you put your calendar link in there,
Yes.
because people will make an appointment more than they'll make a phone call.
Yep.
It's kind of like going in, it's like, it's women, and I don't know, maybe you do this too. It's like, I can go to a store and contrary to what my husband may say, I don't like shopping. So I'll go and I'll know exactly what I want. But as soon as I walk in, then, the clerk will say, hey, can we help you? And it's like, no, I'm fine.
I'm good. Yeah.
I know what I want, but I want to look for it.
Right.
And it's the same thing when people, are introduced to you, whether, from a real estate agent or, from a video or whatever. They want to be able to set that appointment. So make sure you have your calendar link in there, that it's easy for them to make an appointment, have it easy for them to be able to get in touch with you. And it's not the apply now button because they're not there yet.
Right. What I'm seeing on the link tree and on the calendar specifically, which I think is brilliant, is not just having a single link to your calendar, but having options.
Yes.
And like somebody put just a 10-minute, I forget what they called it, but it was like this very non-committal 10-minute discussion. And I'm thinking about like the consumer that if you said book here and it's like a 60-minute meeting, that's intimidating.
No.
So, it's being strategic and smart too with your calendar. Some people want a 45-minute conversation when they're ready for it. Most initially, all they need is 5 or 10 minutes. They have a couple of questions and they're in and out.
Yeah. And you just call it a quick chat, coffee chat, whatever. That's all you need to do. And if it goes longer, it goes longer. And usually it does.
And they usually do. Exactly.
Yeah. But that's the main thing, is to be able to do that. Make it easy for them to be able to get in touch with you. And look for resources. I'm going to look. I have to find it. I just found out it's an AI app that this morning, and I'm probably not going to find it right now. I have to do a follow-up. But, find the things that make it easy for people to follow you. And easy for you to keep up with as well. So the easier it is for you, the more likely it's that you're going to be consistent with it. And that goes to the recording too. It's like, if you're going to stay in this business, you need to have a plan to be able to do something that is beyond what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Blogs, so articles, I like using all of it, and it's truly all of Edu Marketing. You know, it's doing the videos, it's responding on your social interacting, it is posting blog articles, it is being able to, you know, interview other people. So even if you don't want to do a podcast, interview other
Yeah.
people, have other people on, share information about other people. So many times I don't like, I love it when people share my content, and I always send, hey, thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
And the same thing, you, if you want to get somebody's attention, share something they've written.
They love
I
that.
can guarantee you, you will get their attention
Oh, yeah.
because not many people do that. And one of the best things you can do is to share information.
I love that. You and I could probably talk for 3 more hours
I know.
and challenge Joe Rogan for a 4 hour podcast. So this will be the first of many conversations that I'd love to have you come back on and go, keep going a layer deeper. This is super helpful, Ginger. It's great to spend a little time with you. Thank you for all you continue to do for our industry. You're one of the gems out there, and an unbelievable resource. And so, before we close out, if anybody watching wants to get in contact with you and set up a quick chat, right? What's the best way for them to get in hold of you?
So my business site is edumarketing.com. That's edumarketing.com. Or you can find all of my connections at meetgingerbell.com. So if you
Easy.
just go to meetgingerbell.com, that has everything. You can follow me on social, my YouTube channel. We do have a weekly podcast that we do. It's on mortgage influencers. So if you go to mortgageinfluencers.com, we meet every week, every Wednesday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. And we have guests just like you, Brian, who come in and talk about what you can do to stand out and be an influencer.
I love it. Well, thanks again, Ginger, for joining me. And thanks to the audience for tuning in again. Be sure to come back next Friday for our next episode.